What it is, everybody. Happy Tuesday, Taco Tuesday. Today, Taco Tuesday de los Soles. We have news about Maduro today. We have news about Greenland today. I just finished watching The Queen. If anybody cares about that subject anymore, it looks like that's a dying issue. But if anybody cares about it, I can comment. That the Queen, of course, the Queen Bee of beehives, Candace Owens. We also have, so anyway, big news today about Venezuela. The Venezuela thing is not going exactly as planned. And actually, the prosecution of Maduro might not be going as planned because the DOJ had to admit today that they were lying the whole time about him being the head of a cartel, basically. And it's still up on their website. So I'll show you some of the quotes. I wasn't able to pull video clips of it, unfortunately. I wish I had them. But for the longest time, or as our justification for going after the so-called president of Venezuela, we're not supposed to call him the president. Actually, Trump kind of screwed up and said we captured the president of Venezuela. Officially, we don't acknowledge him as the president of Venezuela. That's the way it's supposed to be. Because if we did, then he could claim presidential immunity, and that would be a problem too for convicting him. So we were told originally that we were mad at Maduro because he was dealing drugs. I believe that's what we were told originally. Drugs that were killing Americans, with the implication being, if not explicitly, that it was fentanyl coming from Venezuela. So we started blowing up boats and killing people with some weird legal justification that nobody's seen yet, which most legal observers internationally and within the United States agree is probably illegal, the whole thing. If not the whole thing, a lot more people agree that blowing up survivors of a military attack, shipwrecked survivors, is definitely illegal, would constitute a war crime if it was a war. So anyway, as justification for going after Maduro, we claimed that he was the head of a cartel, of a drug dealing cartel known as Cartel de los Soles, or Cartel of the Suns. Trump said it after we captured him, that he was the head of a drug cartel called Cartel de los Soles. And today, we removed that from the charging documents for Maduro. So we may have picked him up on false charges to some extent. So I'm going to just show you that. We'll show you the news. We'll show you the quotes. We'll show you where it's listed still on government documents that he's the head of a drug cartel. He is not head of a drug cartel. So he had machine guns. So we definitely get him for that, since he was disobeying American laws. But it's kind of a weak case against Maduro. That's one thing that's going on in Venezuela. We are still threatening Greenland, and everybody hates us. Trump says all the time that we are more respected than ever. Trump tries to use words to create reality. So he'll tell you that the tariffs are great and we're making money from other countries, and that everybody loves them, and it's making us rich. He'll tell you that we're more respected than ever all the time, and that we weren't before. Actually, everybody, it seems like, if you tuned into the UN meeting, at least, pretty much everybody hates us. Now all of Europe hates us for trying to take Greenland from Denmark. And then we just say, oh no, everybody loves us, we're amazing. And then Stephen Miller went on just an insane rant about our imperialist goals on CNN. So I'll play that for you as well. So Eileen Kepper, let's see. Eileen Kepper says, please comment on Queen Candace, who possibly married a queen. Who possibly married a queen. That's right. Well, anyway, it looks like I made many controversial videos and got people tuned in over the Candace Owens thing when it went crazy, when everybody started to have attack her because they're all paid apparently, or they're bots or they're feds, because she had on a guest who made some claims that were wild, which was that Erica Kirk was involved. The implication was that there was a military meeting the day before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, probably to plan his assassination. And Candace said, oh, after I have this guy on, the military will have to admit that they were involved in assassinating Charlie Kirk. So it wasn't like she didn't make the claim. And then she had on a guest, Mitch Snow, who was acting crazy on a military base, Fort Huachuca or Fort Huachuca, and identified people from TPUSA, Daily Wire, U.S. congressman as all being there. And then the strong implication was, and has continued to be, that Erica Kirk was involved in assassinating Charlie Kirk because she's an evil bitch who wants to take control of the organization. Candace tries not to say that, but I've heard the people who grift off of Candace's grift are much more explicit. Like I tuned into Baron Coleman, who just went off on Erica Kirk, and Candace spent yesterday's show playing clips of somebody else going after Erica Kirk and TPUSA. In any case, two of the people that were accused have provided rock solid alibis. She admitted today that the congressman couldn't have possibly been there, tried to blame somebody else. This other guy, Erica Kirk's ex-boyfriend, it was basically the insinuation was that Erica Kirk was having an affair with her ex-boyfriend from the Daily Wire, Cabot Phillips. They were spotted together at a hotel, and then this meeting happened the next day. But he provided an alibi that she didn't deny is true. And now the show it's her mostly defending herself. And she's really, really upset that the Daily Wire is making a show to make fun of her. Really upset. She's telling them to stop. She said it should be illegal to make fun of her, which I just think is interesting. Now she's saying stop after she's gone after Erica Kirk forever, and Erica Kirk told her to stop and she said no. So now she's really upset. She really can't take the heat of a show that's just designed to make fun of her from the Daily Wire. She's saying it has to stop. Like she can't take it for some reason, which is really interesting. She's like, she actually said it should be illegal for the Daily Wire to make fun of her. So anyway, that's what's going on. It looks like the show's it's not that interesting. I tuned in, but fewer people tuned in today than yesterday. No news was broken. There's no new information. So pretty much what I said was going to happen looks like it's happening. Doesn't look like there's anything left, but I'll still tune in. So if people want to hear about it, I can talk about it, but mostly I'm ready to move on. It's just not interesting anymore. But so that's what's going on with that show. So you don't have to watch it. It's a whole lot of nothing. She showed that her breaking story today was that Tyler Robinson went to dinner somewhere, and that's supposed to mean something. Not sure what it means. So that's what's going on with that show. And what else do we have? And then there's there's more tranny violence. I shouldn't say tranny, should I? There's more tranny violence. going after JD Vance's house. So I'll show you that news. I'll show you, oh, we're importing apparently one of our largest imports is like OnlyFans models get to come into this country. So we're not giving visas to almost anybody, but we'll give them to OnlyFans models because they've proven that they can make money. OnlyFans models and influencers. So we'll let in influencers and OnlyFans models, because if they can prove they have a following, then they can prove they're making money. And then I guess that proves that we can tax them. So I'm assuming that's the reason why. But yeah, that's news as well. So then I'll have some of the latest news in the economy. Silver was up a ton today. Again, it's unbelievable. The only problem with it is that might be a sign of the end of the world. So many people are saying, oh yeah, great, silver's going up, I'm getting rich, etc. But it may be a sign of the end. Gold was up too. So I'll show you the latest on that. Stock market's up to almost record highs. So are we near the end, or are we in the middle on the way to the end? Who knows? One way or another, it's going to end. We just don't know when. When does the music stop? That's the question. So imagine, yes, $80 an ounce. But if you really wanted to buy a silver eagle or something, it would cost, if you really wanted to buy an ounce of silver right now, most places in the United States, a nice ounce of silver, like a silver eagle, you'd be paying $90 plus in the United States for that. So yeah, it was up over 5% today. Gold was up 1%. Bitcoin kind of crashed a little bit today after going up a lot yesterday. So those are all the stories about that. All right. So thanks for joining me for the show. It is a place where you can relax, listen to the soothing tones of my voice, and hopefully learn something. And then you can also chat, and sometimes I respond to you. So I appreciate you joining me. I always appreciate you tuning in. And because of you, you get the intro for the show. Okay, cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman, and I bring you the news, the real news. I highlighted the comment because I find it amusing. It says, Erica Kirk is a narco-terrorist. Yeah, that's what we call people we don't like. Actually, let me see if I have it. I think I put it in my bookmarks. Hugo Chavez predicted what is happening right now. He predicted it would happen to him, that we would use the Noriega formula. So it looks like basically back in the day, we went after Noriega of Panama because he was a drug dealer, and everybody believed it back then. We made him out to be the enemy. We made him out to be this prolific drug dealer, and we captured him. It looks like that probably had much more to do with the strategic fact that Panama is where the Panama Canal goes through, and controlling canals is important. It's one of the reasons for the state of Israel that it's near the Suez Canal. We want to control the oceans, actually, in general, like trade routes is a super important geopolitical or geostrategic thing. After World War II, we controlled the oceans. When the British Empire was the British Empire, they controlled the seas, trade routes. And we even have a lot of boats positioned in Asia to control trade routes around China too. And we're trying to prevent China from taking over the world because they build boats like 100 times faster than us right now. We're probably kind of screwed if we want to give you the black pill of the day. China is better than us in a lot of ways with their weird mix of communism and capitalism. Our tariffs have only made them become more dominant in manufacturing, especially with their robot factories, which they call dark factories because they don't need lights anymore because there are no humans inside of them. Their robot factories outnumber ours by something like a margin of 43-1 or something. We are way, way behind on manufacturing, and they have a larger, they just said a record large trade surplus. They're the manufacturer for the world. And if we didn't have tariffs, and if we allowed them to import their vehicles here, they would also dominate in auto sales because they make cars that are cheaper and better than anybody's right now with their company BYD, which has overtaken Tesla as the largest electric car manufacturer in the world. And apparently they're quite impressive from what I've read. So we don't have them here, but they do have some in some European countries now. And as far as electric cars go, Tesla isn't trying to compete at their level and can't, basically. So that's what's going on with China. Let me see. I was going to show you this Hugo Chavez quote. So far we have better computer chips and better AI so far. They are more advanced with robotics, not necessarily humanoid robotics, but robotics. So here, Hugo Chavez said back in the day, and I have him saying it in Spanish. He said, quote, "Years ago, someone told me they're going to end up accusing you of being a drug trafficker. You personally, you, Chavez, not just that the government supports it or permits it. No, no, no. They're going to try to apply the Noriega formula to you. They're looking for a way to associate Chavez directly with drug trafficking, and then anything goes against a drug trafficker president, right?" So that's what he said a long time ago. Hugo Chavez. He said they were going to call him personally a drug trafficker, which is exactly the formula we've used against Maduro. Exactly the same formula. Even though when we talk about it, it's actually because of China and Iran and Cuba. China, Iran, Cuba, and Russia. That's really why we did it, according to us. Because of China getting their oil, because of Cuba benefiting a lot from Venezuela, because of Iran having some forces in there, building some drones in there. And that's because of Israel, because Israel doesn't like Iran. We don't like Iran because Israel doesn't like Iran, etc. And like I said, Israel is kind of there for one reason, because they're near the Suez Canal, and they helping us control what we can control in the Middle East. So anyway, that's what's going on. I'll play the crazy rant from Stephen Miller is totally insane. We're acting insane right now as a country. We're just saying we're going to take over the world. We're going to take over half the world, which seems kind of crazy. Seems different than the Trump we elected. So, all right, here we go. Here's Trump today, just being strange. I'll just play you a clip to start out. There was a retreat at the Trump Kennedy Center. It is officially the Kennedy Center, so I should call it that. Unofficially, it's the Trump Kennedy Center. Just like unofficially, it's the Department of War. Officially, it's still the Department of Defense. Unofficially, the Trump Kennedy Center. He gave a speech to the GOP today where he said if the GOP loses, he's going to get impeached. And he made he just was weird in this clip. Some people played there was a very short portion of this clip that was going around. I wanted to get the full clip. So I got it, of him imitating a female weightlifter and talking about how his wife hates it when he acts funny, like when he dances. So I'll play that clip for you just for fun.
And she gets up and they put a little tiny thing like this, little thing. And my wife, by the way, my wife hates when I do this. She said, she's a very classy person, right? She said, it's so unpresidential. I said, but I did become president. She hates when I dance. I said, everybody wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential. She actually said, could you imagine FDR dancing? She said that to me. And I said, there's a long history that perhaps she doesn't know. Because he was an elegant fellow, even as a Democrat, right? He was the attack by Japan, he was quite elegant, but he wouldn't be doing this. But nor would too many others. But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible. And I have to say this, the dancing they really like. She said, they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. The place goes crazy. They're screaming, dance, please. But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, yeah. But she gets it and drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up, bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds. Huh? It's crazy.
Not me, says WTF. Yeah, it's like, what is the point? Some people say he's the first stand-up comedian that we had as president. I mean, really, I remember when his rallies were must see TV. Lock her up, build the wall. I mean, he had a lot of things going for him. I remember. Now after tuning in for his speech the other day, and nobody tuning into my show, live streaming his speech, I decided that I'm not going to cover it again because I was almost bored to tears when he was in the Poconos or whatever in Pennsylvania. He's not the same as he used to be, but that was kind of fun. It's funny, but like, who knows what the hell is like, so that was for the GOP, which, he's telling them how important it is. Actually the GOP is in trouble. There is breaking news today. One of them died. One of our congressmen died. A California congressman died today. He was like 65 years old. I don't know why he died or how he died, but that happened today. So that's sad news. I don't know anything about him, but it's sad when people die. But it's also bad for Trump and Republicans because they have a very slim majority in the Congress. So Marjorie retired yesterday. So Marjorie's out. He hated her anyway, but she's out. This other guy died. Another guy who's like 80 or something, I think he's 80, got in a car wreck. He's in the hospital. So he can't vote. Hopefully he doesn't die too, but he can't vote. And then there's an election coming up, some kind of special election at the end of this month where apparently a Democrat's going to win. So the Republicans are going to have like a 1-vote majority, and Thomas Massie votes against everything. So there's literally almost going to be no majority in the Congress pretty much by the end of the month, as far as I can tell. I mean, hopefully for Trump and Republicans, the guy who's in the hospital recovers and can come back and vote. But as long as he's in the hospital, he can't vote. So the Republican majority is like really threatened. So hopefully nobody else retires or nobody else becomes Thomas Massey and starts voting against things, because it's very just very slim margin for them to get anything accomplished. So that's what's going on in the Congress. And today is the 5th. I heard it's already been 5 years since January 6th. 5 years since January 6th today, too. Apparently there was a rally, but nobody showed up. Apparently January 6th refugees, or the ones who got released from prison or whatever they were, who got pardoned, they were supposed to meet in DC today, and there were only a couple dozen of them that showed up. So looks like that kind of fizzled out. But it is January 6th today, and that was the day everything changed. So I wasn't a big fan of January 6th. I wasn't a big fan. I was actually kind of horrified when it happened. I'm sorry to show that side of me. It was feds, instigated in some senses by feds, but it was also like, it wasn't good. That's all. And the White House today is trying to re-portray it as if it was not something kind of bad. It was kind of bad, I think, in my opinion. It wasn't like the Democrats said, but it wasn't something to celebrate the way Nick Fuentes did immediately, which I was curious about. But it wasn't something to get banned over either. After January 6th, a bunch of people got their channels taken down because there were election deniers, and they blamed the election deniers for causing January 6th. So that was when I was on DLive, and a bunch of channels were popular on DLive for being election deniers, and they almost all got canceled. And then it was a big wave of censorship, which was wrong. And eventually they went back on that and restored those channels, 4 or 5 years later. So like when they restored my channel here because of the COVID, because I talked about vaccines, which they later deemed to be reasonable, they also later deemed it reasonable to question the election. So anyway, January 6th, happy January 6th anniversary. So, all right, let's see. Oh, I can show comments on the stage. All right. So that was him doing the female weightlifter thing, giving a little inside information about his wife doesn't like him dancing. That's funny. It's actually funny. It was funny. It's okay. Trump's fine. He's fine. I don't care. Here's Trump talking about Maduro's dance. The rumor is that Trump captured Maduro because the final straw for Trump was that Maduro was dancing. And that's why I was like, oh, this guy doesn't believe me. Let's go get him. So that was the story. This kind of confirms that story a little bit.
Years. And, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy. Routine.
There you go. So anyway, that's him talking about Maduro's dance. Trump.
Got to win the midterms. Because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. Got to win the midterms.
There you go. So there he is admitting it, which I agree. But especially if we keep illegal, if we continue to, if we try to seize Greenland illegally, if we try to start bombing, if we start a war with Iran, that's more than what we did before. So far, nobody's trying to impeach him for some of those things. So far, Democrats are afraid to go too far because everybody agrees Maduro was a bad guy, etc. But if it escalates, this world domination stuff, and it starts getting out of hand, then they will impeach him. He's giving them more reasons to impeach him right now. The drug boats are problematic. He could definitely get in trouble, especially killing the survivors. But otherwise, I can't think of what he did. He has to do something that's illegal, at least sort of. So if he starts wars without congressional approval and stuff, they're going to have more reasons to impeach him. Not that they need a reason. They might just do it for fun. And the Senate won't convict him. But he should tread lightly, because the odds are right now on betting sites. Let's see. I can pull them up. The odds on betting sites are Congress. Let's see. Congress. Share this tab. Will balance of power in Congress. No, this isn't good. It's up to 31% that the Democrats will win the Senate. Nobody's talking about the Democrats winning the Senate. So even that's up to 31%. Now, what about just the House? Let's see. House. It's like 80% right now that the Democrats are going to win the House. Here it is, right here. 77% that the Democrats win the House right now. It's not the highest it's ever been, but pretty good odds. And I would probably take those odds. Probably. I'm doing a little betting on Kalshi. Lost some money betting that the government would close. I closed that position. But 77% right now, Democrats win the House. It seems very likely. So it's going to be he will be a lame duck when that happens. So here's Trump. I just want to play this just because I'm playing what he said at this House. Is considered a retreat. They didn't retreat very far. It's still in Washington, D.C. Him about healthcare. I guess they're not going to shut down the government. The odds are at least that they aren't going to shut down the government. I bet they would, and then the odds really went down. So I apparently Democrats are saying they're not going to shut down the government this time. Odds are only like 22% right now. So apparently they're not going to this time. I think they still could. Depends on what Trump does between now and then, but that happens at the end of the month. But here's the thing about health insurance is really a big problem. Because of the people that are going to stop getting health insurance, which is apparently millions of people, from the cost of the ACA programs going up, which is not the Republicans' fault. It's because Obamacare sucks that these premiums are going up. But the Obamacare sucks for multiple reasons, because our whole healthcare system is basically broken. But one of the things that is required for premiums to stay lower for everybody in general is for everybody to be buying health insurance, especially young, healthy people who don't use it. In order for Obamacare to work, it needs young, healthy people to buy insurance so that costs, and then not use it, so that costs for everybody else can stay lower. The people who actually are using it don't have to pay even more and even more. Well, what's happening is that the premiums have gone up so much that young, healthy people, or just even if they're not that young, people who don't use health insurance that much, are just not getting health insurance. And the more of those people that don't do that, more healthy people who don't buy health insurance, that's going to keep making premiums go up even more for everybody who's left until they can't afford health insurance, until the premiums go up even more, and then more people can't afford health insurance. So it's just going to be to me, it seems like it's just going to be a spiral. One thing I'm really curious about is Donald Trump's plan, which is to give people money so they can buy health insurance. And maybe somebody can tell me, I'll look in the chat. But imagine that says illegal not to have health insurance. They make you have it. Well, that was the original plan in Obamacare. which the Republicans got removed. It's not illegal. You just get fined for it. So originally in Obamacare, there was a fine federally if you didn't have health insurance. You had to prove you had health insurance at least most of the year. Otherwise, you had to pay a monthly fine, which was relatively significant. I think it might have been close to $200 a month or something like that. The Republicans got that removed because it's not fair to young, healthy people who don't want to buy health insurance, which is fine, but it made it so fewer people were buying health insurance, which made premiums go up even more. And then, but actually here in California and other states, like we still have to pay fines in California if we don't have health insurance. But one thing about California is if you're poor enough, you get free health insurance. So, which is kind of nice for poor people, which isn't true in other states. But in California, you still get fined if you can't prove you had health insurance. But actually, it's not illegal. They just fine you, basically. So, all right. Here, but anyway, what I'm curious about is this plan. This is what Trump says Republicans should do. Republicans, some of them are talking about extending the subsidies for at least a year. Some Republicans, like in purple districts, are agreeing with Democrats that we should extend the subsidies at least for a little while so we have time to fix what's wrong with the system. Trump says this is what Trump
find out in the last 2 months. When you tell the people that we want the money to be paid to the people so the people can buy their own health insurance and health care, it's like, and I just said it.
Okay, so the only thing is I don't know if you're not insured and you don't have an employer, if you're self-employed. I don't know how you buy health insurance except for through the government portal, except for the ACA. So that's what I don't understand about this logic. Giving people money to buy their own health insurance. Well, it's not a free market for health insurance. I don't think. I don't know of any other way to get health insurance if you're self-employed other than to go through the ACA. I thought that's what the ACA was for. Is then you buy it through, they offer different programs like Blue Shield or Blue Cross or whatever it is. So that's why I don't understand about this plan. So you guys can tell me if there's another way to buy health insurance. And some Republicans are proposing that Amazon or Costco start selling health insurance nationwide and group all of their members in one group. And that would be fine. I think that would be good to create some competition in the healthcare market. But that's what I don't understand about his plan. Oh, we'll give people money. Well, he's talking about giving people maybe $1,500, $2,000, which would only cover you for a few months. So I don't see how that's helpful. The truth is it's cheaper to be uninsured and have health care, have a savings account for most people until something really bad happens. It's actually cheaper to be self-insured because they charge you less if you don't have insurance. And so it's more expensive to have insurance with a high deductible because then you're getting double fucked. You're paying $800 a month, maybe just for one person for health insurance. And then when you go to the hospital, you have a huge deductible and they charge you like 3 or 4 times as much because you have insurance, where if you weren't insured at all, you'd get a huge cash discount. So it's actually cheaper. It seems like the way the system is working now, it's cheaper in almost all cases to be self-insured and have a health savings account, if anything, and then just contribute on your own $500, or even if it's $800 a month, be way better off just putting in however much you were going to pay for insurance into a savings account and then just pay cash for everything because they give you a big discount for paying cash. So it's completely broken. So I personally think that some kind of, like, we're an advanced country, some kind of socialized healthcare isn't wrong. Some kind of insurance that's everybody gets isn't wrong, and then just tax people for it because they're going to end up paying, because it should be cheaper theoretically. If we're all in the same government program, theoretically it should be cheaper. Theoretically, that's if the government works, but theoretically it should be cheaper if everybody's in. And they just get taxed for it instead of because you have to pay for it one way or the other. So, but that's one way that I'm not always 100% consistent in my libertarian views. So, all right. So that was Trump today. Here's the news on the Cartel de las Soles. The Justice Department has dropped their claim that Venezuela's Cartel de las Soles is an actual group. And it says, last year, before capturing President Nicolas Maduro, the Trump administration designated a Venezuelan slang term for drug corruption in the military as a terrorist organization and said he led it. So Marco Rubio actually is on record designating Cartel de las Soles as a terrorist organization. Apparently, it's just a slang term coined by Venezuelans during the 90s to talk about corruption in the government. It was never a cartel. And now we're admitting it. Some people have been pointing it out for a while. Here's a post from November 16th, 2025, which says that there is no such thing from many experts. You can see it, many experts. But actually, the same day, November 16th of last year, Marco Rubio says he intends to designate Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization headed by Nicolas Maduro. And it says, headed by the illegitimate Nicolas Maduro, the group has corrupted the institutions of government in Venezuela and is responsible for terrorist violence conducted by and with other designated FTOs, as well as for trafficking drugs in the United States and Europe. So Secretary Rubio said that. Today, they're admitting that it's not true. They removed it from the allegations against Maduro. He's no longer being charged as the head of a cartel. So it's fake. And actually, if you look here under the reward for Nicolas Maduro, this is still on the U.S. This is at state.gov, the U.S. State Department. It still says Maduro helped manage and ultimately led the Cartel of the Suns, a Venezuelan drug trafficking organization comprised of high-ranking Venezuelan officials. So they claimed that it says here, Maduro negotiated multi-ton shipments of FARC-produced cocaine, directed the Cartel of the Suns to provide military-grade weapons to FARC, etc. But apparently it was always just made up. It was just something Venezuelans said. It was like some kind of slang term. So we made it up. And Trump, in his speech when Maduro got captured, said, Trump alleged Maduro, quote, personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de los Soles, which flooded our nation with lethal poison responsible for the deaths of countless Americans. The many, many Americans, hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. So, no, not real, fake, hoax. Isn't real. So, Cartel de las Soles, not real, removed from the indictment, etc. So that's news today. People aren't that pumped about Maduro being captured. Trump is kind of wondering why people aren't supporting him more, like why people don't understand that he's awesome. Only 33% of people in America support the Maduro capture, as compared to something like 80% when we got Noriega. So the PSYOPs are no longer working. The PSYOPs are no longer working, it seems like, on the American people. It's split. Very few Republicans are against it, which is why not that many people tune in to hear my opinion, probably, because Republicans are still more interested, are still supportive. But only 6% of Republicans say it was bad. 65% say it was good. The other 29% say it was no big deal, as compared to Democrats who are mostly against it. But we don't get Democrats here for this show. So we are on the not popular end of things, as per usual. But we appreciate it. We always go against the grain a little bit. So anyway, popular opinion isn't really there. This is Stephen Miller seems insane to me. Stephen Miller seems insane to me in this clip on CNN. So I'll just show you Stephen Miller just saying what we're doing. Okay. I'll play this for you. It's about 4 minutes.
The president was very quick to say that the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, opposition leader Machado in Venezuela, doesn't have the support in Venezuela to become the next president or the interim leader. And I wonder where he got that from, given that basically her cutout, Gonzalez, won the election last year 2 years ago, overwhelmingly, 70% of the vote or something like that. Why does the president think that Machado should not be the next leader? Why does he think she's weak?
First of all Venezuela experts agree, that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge. And the military would follow her, and the security forces would follow her. This is not a serious. It's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me. If you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here, Jake. The United States. This is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Sovereign countries shouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
I don't even
and
know
engaging these
honestly
mass
what you're talking
reparation
about right
schemes.
now.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea. And by the way, you do. I know you love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election.
Exactly.
I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela. That's what I asked. I said, why was the president so quick to dismiss Machado? You answered that question. And then I said,
the objective, Jake, is security and stability for the people of Venezuela. With our help and leadership, that country will become more prosperous than it has ever been in its whole history. Venezuelans,
but the woman running Venezuela right now is part of the Maduro regime.
There will be conversations, Jake, about all of these guideposts along the way. The reason why I was giving you that speech, which I know you didn't want to hear, is because you're approaching this from the wrong frame. This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections to be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away. To create these vacuums.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tim Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries. The future of Venezuela working with America is going to be so bright and so incredible and so positive. And we'll have a conversation about everything that you raised. But the priority right now, as the president has been made clear, is a judicious, thoughtful, careful transition process to secure a great future for Venezuela and to secure a great future for America.
All right.
And let's just take a moment and just acknowledge, Jake, that what we've witnessed under President Trump's leadership this last week is one of the greatest foreign policy and military victories this country has ever had.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much.
There you go.
Thank you.
So
A lot.
anyway,
President was-
it's kind of crazy. It's just kind of crazy. It's like, we will not allow it. He's like, so you're saying countries can't do what they want? It's basically, that's what we're saying. That if they're in our hemisphere, at least, like, we're in that, that's it. Like, it's all over. They do what America wants, or will change their government. And in this case, I like it. I mean, I like that we're being more honest, and we're like, no, we're it's not that we're trying to restore democracy. We just want somebody who's going to work with us, and we're just going to keep replacing people until they're willing to submit to us, pretty much. Because we don't want China getting oil. We don't want Cuba getting oil. We don't want Iran getting oil. We don't want Russia getting oil. We're just going to dominate everywhere. And the future of the world depends on us. That's the message. So he also has words about Greenland. So, which people don't like us for. Nobody likes us because of this. They're threatening to throw us out of NATO, actually. So here he is about Greenland, also being belligerent.
Important topic. The premier of Greenland and the premier of Denmark and other Danish officials are responding to a Twitter post from your wife, Katie Miller, herself a former Trump White House official, showing Greenland covered with an American flag, saying soon. After that was posted, President Trump repeated the claim that the U.S. needs Greenland for national security reasons. The Danish prime minister responded to this in an interview earlier today, as reported by Bloomberg, quote, "I believe one should take the American president seriously when he says it wants Greenland, but I will also make it clear that if the U.S. chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops, including NATO, and thus the security that has been established since the end of the Second World War." Can you rule out that the U.S. is ever going to try to take Greenland by force?
Well, let me go back a step. The president has been clear for months now. So I know you're treating this as breaking news. The president has been clear for months now that the United States should be the nation that has Greenland as part of our overall security apparatus.
Everybody
But your
agrees.
wife posted that like hours after the Venezuela operation.
but
that's why it's newly relevant.
No, I'll talk with you about it for an hour. I think it's a really important conversation. I just wanted to reset, Jake, by making clear that it has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake, I understand you're trying very hard to, which again is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm trying to get an answer to the question.
That says Miller refuses to rule out the United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland.
One last question,
doesn't
Stephen.
make any sense.
One last question.
There you go. So I don't know how we plan to take it. A bank today proposed, let me see if I have it. A bank proposed today. Oh, I don't have it. Somebody proposed today that it would only cost us. There are like 50,000. He said 30,000. Apparently, there are like 50,000 people that live in Greenland. And somebody proposed that we could just offer $50 billion for Greenland, and in so doing, give every resident of Greenland $1 million to take Greenland. So that was proposed today by a bank that suggests that it could be possible. So because there are so few inhabitants and we print our own money, and apparently money doesn't matter unless Somalis are trying to steal it, we could send $1 million to every resident of Greenland, which I'm sure all the Zoomers would be happy about. They'd be like, oh, great, you're giving $1 million to everybody in Greenland so we can have Greenland for, I'm not sure. Again, they have to do a better job explaining how it benefits America. That's all. Like, how does it benefit America? They have to tell us. That's why people don't support it, because they don't see. It's like Venezuela. Okay, so what does that do for us? Cheaper oil is, I guess, the pitch, but that's not true. Our corporations don't even want to go there for the oil. Trump checked with them in advance and none of them were that interested, because the main thing that oil companies want is more expensive oil, because right now they're not doing that well because oil's too cheap. Oil's not free. It costs money to dig out of the ground. They have a profit margin, but it costs, for us at least, like our frackers in Texas, they're not making any money right now with oil at $57 a gallon. Oil was down again today. So, and they'd have to spend billions of dollars in many years to do what it needs to take in Venezuela. And then they don't know what's going to happen in Venezuela. They don't want to make a commitment to that many years, which is why we're actually talking about subsidizing companies to go there. So all this thing in Venezuela was supposedly going to make oil companies rich or something, and in so doing somehow benefit the American people. I will say the Venezuelan stock market was apparently up like 50%. The whole stock market in Venezuela was apparently up like 50% today. So somebody believes that we're going to make the country better, at least for corporations. Somebody believes that we're going to make the country better for corporations by introducing some kind of capitalism, which does make places better typically. So their stock market was up like 50%, but our oil companies don't care that much about going through all the trouble of spending tons of money speculatively trying to dig up dirty, filthy, heavy, super heavy crude oil from Venezuela to maybe make some money years from now down the line. So now we're actually talking about subsidizing them. So we're not doing nation building. We're going to get rich from it. We're going to get rich from the oil. We're not going to get rich from the oil. We're so much not going to get rich from the oil that apparently we actually have to pay for oil exploration. We have to subsidize our oil companies, which is actually as communist. Yeah, that's socialism. So we're going to be like, oh, well, we're the socialists now. Look at me. I'm the socialist now. So anyway, that's what we're planning to do. U.S. may subsidize oil companies to rebuild Venezuela's energy infrastructure, Trump says. And then we want to rebuild their bridges and their roads too, apparently. So seems great. Great for the American people. And speaking of kicking out China, Russia, and Iran, the new head of Venezuela, the vice president, was seen embracing the ambassadors of China, Russia, and Iran at the swearing-in ceremony. That's this video here. So here she is embracing our enemies, Iran, Russia, and China, which is apparently why we did it. because we don't want them benefiting. We're the only ones who can benefit from other countries. So that's not going, it's just not going that well. Okay. I have Marina Corina Machado, the Nobel Peace Prize winner. She was given a chance to kiss Trump's ass. Do I care about that? What time is it? Okay. We'll play this. She had a chance to kiss Trump's ass on Hannity's show because the news reporting was that Trump was mad she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize. So here she is, the Nobel Peace Prize winner on Hannity.
Until you went to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And I want you to tell us, you never went back at that point. Did you not go back because you feared for your life? And tell us, I mean, it's not very usual that people will dedicate the Nobel Peace Prize to the leader of a different country and say publicly, he deserves this more than I do. But you did that.
Let me be very clear. As soon as I learned that we had been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I dedicated to President Trump because I believed at that point that he deserved it. And a lot of people, most people said it was impossible to achieve what he has just done on Saturday, January 3rd. So if I believed he deserved it on October, imagine now. I think he has proven to the world what he means. I mean, January 3rd will go down in history as the day justice defeated a tyranny. It's a milestone, and it's not only huge for the Venezuelan people and our future, I think it's a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity.
Have you spoken with President Trump since then?
I spoke with President Trump on October 10th, the same day the prize was announced. Not since then, but I do want to say today, on behalf of the Venezuelan people, how grateful we are for his courageous vision, the actions, historical actions he has taken against this narco-terrorist regime to start dismantling this structure and bringing Maduro to justice, which means that 30 million Venezuelans are now closer to freedom, but also that the United States of America is a safer country nowadays.
Right. Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him that we believe the Venezuelan people, because this is a prize of the Venezuelan people, certainly want to give it to him and share it with him. What he has done, as I said, is historic.
There you go. So anyway, he was giving her a chance because the news report was. But apparently there were a lot of other reasons. I said not to necessarily believe that news report because it was in the Washington Post and it was unnamed sources that said she would be president now if not for the Nobel Peace Prize thing. The CIA basically said it was a bad idea because it would destabilize the country. The reason we left the Maduro regime in power is because we don't have a problem with dictators as long as they do what we say. That's all. Just like any imperialist country, we like dictators. We like dictators better most of the time, as long as they serve our interests. So it was actually the CIA that told Trump that trying to install a different government would create disorder in the country. So it wasn't probably because of the Nobel Peace Prize. That was probably fake news or people that dislike Trump. The CIA advised him that it was a bad idea to try to replace the government and just to leave in power the people who are in power now because they have the guns and for the stability of the country, which is more important than actually restoring democracy. So that was her. There's a statement from all the pretty much all the prime ministers in Europe saying they don't want the United States to take Greenland. And then this guy I thought was really interesting. This is the Austria's NATO Enlargement Committee chairman Fehlinger about if we try to take Greenland. Here's what he says is going to happen.
If you take it, we take every single base of the Americans from Aviano to Ramstein, from Romania to all the other military bases will be confiscated and you will lose it. And the whole position of American power since World War II, if you take Greenland, you have to leave. It's very simple, Mrs. Miller. This is the leverage we have. You need the spaces for global power projection. You won't have it. And we can defend ourselves very well, and we will do that without the US nuclear shield, without the US troops in Europe, without the American bases. We will simply run these bases ourselves, and we run your boys home into Chicago, and Ohio. And goodbye. If you go extreme, we go extreme as well. Be sure about it. If you take it,
I like that guy. He's pretty. I kind of like his response. Actually, he's like, yeah, you can fuck off. We'll just kick you out of our countries. So that's a pretty strong reply from the Europeans. Stronger than most Europeans are, who are like, oh, we are monitoring the situation. That's what the Europeans like to say. We are monitoring the situation. Oh, thank you. That's really impressive of you. All right, there's the tranny that there's the trans person. I'm sorry. Who it used to be illegal to say that. You could get your video banned for that. Remember that. We used to live in a time where you couldn't say tranny or retard. Now you can. So remember that. Just remember how free you are now. This is the transgender person who attacked JD Vance. Just showing that transgender violence is a real thing. So, okay, OnlyFans influencers or OnlyFans are dominating the United States extraordinary artist visas. So to be an extraordinary artist, you just have to prove you have a lot of followers and make money. Apparently, we're importing a bunch of OnlyFans models. So that's impressive. That's impressive. They can't be Somalian, though, probably. All right. I'll just skip to financial news. The yen carry trade, I had to explain in another show. Could mean the whole world blows up. If these rates get too high, the whole world blows up economically, even though things are great right now. This is a bad chart because people have been borrowing Japanese money to buy everything in the world, basically, because it was free to borrow Japanese money. Well, it's no longer free. Rates are the highest they've ever been in Japan. And that could spell disaster, according to a lot of people. So far, it hasn't, though. So far, stock market's up, silver's up. Margin debt, that's a crazy chart. That's a crazy chart. Never use margin, especially with cryptocurrency. But generally, you don't want to use margin because you'll generally lose. If you buy options, you'll usually lose money. You shouldn't gamble because usually you lose. It's rigged against you. You shouldn't use margin to buy cryptocurrency because you'll probably get liquidated. You just can't guess right all the time. But that's a chart of margin, customer margin debt right now, which means this tweet says the crash will be spectacular. The more margin there is, the worse the crash can be. So we're just prepared for it. That's all. Just letting you guys know. If you didn't already buy something, buying things now is the riskiest it's ever been. That's all. Even silver. If you have to buy something, yeah, buy some silver. You can buy some, just save some money so you can buy some later, just in case. That's all. That's all I would say. Yeah, this is what somebody says that's some 1920s shit. Yeah, this is what happened in 1929 is people were able to walk into a bank and they were able to buy $100 of stocks for $1, pretty much, back in the 1920s before the stock market crash. That's what led to the crash. Is anybody was able to borrow a bunch of money to buy stocks. They were able to leverage themselves to the hilt to buy stocks. And so apparently that's where we're at again today. So thinking a 1929 crash can't happen might be a little too optimistic. So, but there are things that are good to buy. I mean, buying Bitcoin, buying silver, buying gold is still good in the long term. Probably they'll eventually be higher than they are now because we will continue to destroy the dollar. But being prudent is worthwhile in these times, I believe. Buying some now is fine. If you're buying something that is resistance against debasement of the currency, we're going to continue to print dollars to infinity. So it's not bad to buy silver, gold, and Bitcoin. It's just that save some cash so you can buy some later in case the price goes down, because silver is known for pumping and dumping. That's what silver has done its entire career. It could go a lot higher, but it could also dump. So, but buying some regularly, even today, even at its all-time high, isn't probably crazy. I might buy some more. I don't know. I'm just being patient. And as far as the dollar goes and the dollar dominance, as opposed to other currencies and other things, while gold has overtaken the dollar, it used to be that people held their global reserves in dollars rather than anything else. But with the rise in gold and with central banks and countries accumulating gold rather than dollars, actually now gold is the main form of reserve currency, basically, in the world. So it's not that the dollar is going to be replaced by the Chinese yuan anytime soon, but it has been replaced by gold. And remember, you can buy infinitely divisible gold right now as a cryptocurrency, which is backed by physical gold. It's called PAX-G. So you can buy $10 of gold today, kind of off the books even, where it's kind of like cash. Right now, it's called PAX-G. It's on Ethereum. It's audited. It's not much different than buying gold and having somebody else store it. So it's the next best thing to physical gold. Physical gold is still, there is no risk, no counterparty risk with if you buy physical gold, but it's very expensive to buy physical gold. It's $4,500 an ounce. So you can buy fractional gold virtually now because there is a cryptocurrency. And you can buy fractional silver by buying SLV or I think PSLV on the stock exchanges. Physical is better because there's no counterparty risk, but then you have to deal with protecting it, storing it, etc. Here I found it. Rabobank is the one that said that for $50 billion we could buy Greenland. So it was Rabobank that said that. I had it on my bookmarks. Okay, and I said ChatGPT is going to die. So I'll just report on that. ChatGPT traffic is down 22% since Gemini 3 came out. This could be a reason for a crash. If anything major AI crashes, that could be another reason for a financial collapse. ChatGPT does not have a particularly good business model. They're worth apparently $1 trillion with the money they're raising, and they don't really have a real good way to make money right now. And if they stop buying NVIDIA chips, then NVIDIA crashes. And if NVIDIA crashes, it's like the whole world. NVIDIA is as big as the whole world almost. It's worth $4 or $5 trillion right now. So if OpenAI goes down, NVIDIA goes down, the AI trade goes down, our GDP goes down, depression, deflationary death spiral, etc. These are all possibilities in the future. In this calendar year, it's all possible. Pirate G, you bought some off the books? Yes, you can. And if anybody wants consultation, you can always text me. I can tell you I can still do cryptocurrency consultations but you can always also ask Gemini or Grok how to do things now. My consulting days have been replaced by machines. Anything a human can tell you, you can ask Grok or Gemini for free, and they'll pretty much be able to tell you how to do it. Pirate Justin bought some gold off the books. Yeah. The nice thing about gold and silver is that, like, theoretically taxes and stuff, like, nobody knows about it. That's all. If you own physical silver or physical gold, you can sell it for money and nobody knows about it as long as you sell less than $10,000. But eventually an ounce of gold is going to be worth $10,000. So it's going to be harder to keep off the books. If you do any $10,000 cash transaction, because of our terrorism laws, I believe it is, or anti-AML, anti-money laundering laws, if you do anything in cash for $10,000, it's reported to the government. But anything less than that isn't necessarily. So but pay your taxes. Pay your taxes. Otherwise, they'll put you in jail. Don't go on a tax strike. They'll put you in jail. Peter Schiff's dad had a thing about taxes and he died in jail. Pay your taxes. It's only pay as much as you have to, but pay your taxes. It's otherwise the government will lock you up. Basically, the government has more guns than you do, as proven by the famous truther who fought with Alex Jones and died in a gunfight with the feds. Remind me, Bill Cooper. Don't be Bill Cooper. Don't die in a gunfight with the feds. Don't get killed by the feds if you can help it. Try to stay in their good graces. Report what you have to. Be a good citizen, etc. All right. Is that pleasant advice for you guys? Even your cryptocurrency, report it. They'll get you eventually. So, all right. That's it. There are your red and black pills for today. Thank you for tuning in for my wonderful show. I didn't even grift. Remember, you can support the show. The show runs on coffee and cookies pretty much, or pastries or whatever the coffee shop has. That's what the show runs on. So we appreciate your support. If you go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, until you can give me super chats, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, leave coffees and leave messages, and I'll read them on the show. I'll check them at the end of every show. I'll check them today. Or buy a t-shirt by going to truthclothing.io and just take advantage of the unbelievable prices. $10 and $5 inflation-free going out of business sale shirts. And we'll be going out of business for a long time because we have a lot of cryptocurrency t-shirts left. So buy them while you can, though. Bitcoin Saves, Crypto Future, HODL. We still have our Question Everything shirts. Those will sell out. $10 each. We have them in female styles, which are really nice. $10 each. We have one Lift the Veil shirt, which I'm wearing today. Let's see. I'm wearing it today. Lift the Veil, never normal. I wear the shirts every day. So buy those while you can. Some of them are $5. Truthclothing.io. And now we'll check our coffees and we'll cross our fingers. Looks like we are going in debt. Oh, no. Wonderful. We have coffees today. Drury Lane bought 5 coffees today. I said to leave a short something nice, and that's what Drury Lane left. Thank you, Drury Lane. We're in business. Spaldo bought 3 coffees. Who says Washington State enacted a 10.3% tax on gold and silver at the beginning of the year, previously exempt. That's shameful. Gold and silver should be treated as money. In California, if you can buy gold and silver without paying sales tax, especially, that's better. Anything you can do to reduce the VIG. In California, you have to buy $2,000 worth. I believe that's the rule in cash. and then they don't charge you sales tax. If you have to pay sales tax, yeah, you're already losing, which is horrible. Gold and silver are money, and they always have been. So that's a terrible thing, Spaldo. Thanks for that news. That's terrible. Charging tax on gold and silver is terrible. They shouldn't have tax on cryptocurrency either, at least on Bitcoin, because it's actually money. Shouldn't charge tax on money. So avoid that if you can. That's why sometimes buying it synthetically is better, because you don't have to pay tax. But you have to pay tax when you sell it, actually, which is terrible. Shouldn't have to pay any tax anytime on gold, silver, Bitcoin. But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Great to see you. Thanks for tuning in for this show. It's a different kind of show. It's never normal, always different, always going against the trend. So thank you, as always, dear listeners, for tuning in. And we'll see you from another location, I believe, tomorrow. I believe you'll see me at another location around the usual time, which is 4 p.m. my time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. All right. And for now, that's what it is.